Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, here with my partner, Tate Mathews. Tate, state wrestling in the books, basketball will soon be playing for state tournament bids. Very exciting time of year.
Very exciting, man. It's, we're about to the end of the finish line of winter sports, so bittersweet. Great thing is that means the spring sports, or we'll just jump right into that. But a lot to talk about. As usual, we are in the mix.
Well, we were talking about this before, and trust me, I'm not taking it for granted or acting disappointed, but I said, oh, yeah, we're recapping. We've only got 3 team state titles so far. It's pretty good. So after wrestling, 3 team titles, and after 5 state champions in wrestling, we're up to 7 individual titles. So for those keeping score at home, that's 10 state titles so far.
Camp Widgie Wyman, or whatever it's called up there in Gallatin. 1, 2.
Are you talking about the? It's not
the guy whose ears were
By
bleeding.
the way, it's not Widgie Wyman.
Widgie Wyman.
You talking about the place with the Boy Scouts?
Yeah. Well, I was just talking about summer camp counselor. Nothing wrong with camp counselors. I'm just talking about our boy. I don't know, whatever that goof's name in Gallatin is.
Mr. Producer needs to find out for us what the name of that camp is, because Widgie Wyman's not even close.
It starts with a W.
For some reason, I think it doesn't, but we'll see. We'll see. Hey, Tate, let's talk a little wrestling. 69 WCS athletes qualified. Of that 69, 20 were semifinalists. 27 ended up being medalists. 5 state champions. And I was really excited, Tate, on the girls' side.
Very excited. But before we go to that, when I first saw that 69 and then how we ended up, I was very pleased with that. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's unbelievable, really.
I think it is, too.
So 4 girls reached the finals. And remember, we're in the infancy of this thing, man. I think it's just going to keep on exploding. So 4 reached the finals. Caitlin Thomas of Ravenwood at 132. And Ravenwood was really slow to the girls' wrestling side. They've already got a state championship. She got a pin over Clarksville's, I believe that's Clarksville Academy, wasn't it?
That's right,
yeah.
Clarksville Academy.
Madison Bryant. And then the all-Wilco final, really cool. Brooklyn Long at 138 of Independence defeats Emma Stevenson of Summit. And Brooklyn finishes the season undefeated. I can't remember, was that the 4th time they've wrestled?
That's right, 4-0 against Emma.
You know,
no shame for Emma. She got beat by an undefeated wrestler.
She made the state championship,
yeah,
man.
I mean,
you know, and yeah, I mean, sometimes that just happens, right? So no shame in that. What a great year for both of them. But Brooklyn undefeated, state champion. Kind of hard to do any better than that.
It is, and then at 100, I was thinking about that 100. I've got a leg that weighs probably more than 100. Riley Lent of Independence.
Depends on if you've been to the halfway market or not. You're up and
Riley Lent with the state championship. So you're seeing kind of a trend here when you start looking at girls wrestling. You've got Indy, the school that's been around a while. They get a couple of state championships. I say been around a while. They embraced it first. We talked about that. Summit, arguably the best program in the county, right? They ended up with the most medalists, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. And then Ravenwood making that push in girls too. So you're seeing like it's trending up on this. Here's something, and we mentioned this last week too. We had 15 of our female athletes qualify. Last year, 6.
yeah, and it'll double again in 2023.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Hey, by the way, I'm pretty proud of this week's gym.
Hey, your gyms rarely disappoint.
Well, I mean,
if ever.
Listen. So, previous girls state champions, we've had 2. 2016, again, same thing. The first was to Summit, Jayla Grimes, 2016, and Indy. And we're sorry if Indy, Zanya Strohsfire is watching. We hope we pronounced that halfway correct. She won in 2017. So now we've got champions from Summit, 3 for Indy, and then we also have 1 for Ravenwood.
Ravenwood in the club. And
it's
hey,
great.
Brentwood's getting there. You know, Erica Moore has been well represented. So it's coming, man. We'll double the amount that we got in there, and it won't be long. We'll be kicking tail and taking names in that as well.
In terms of team scores, because of those individual finishes, you've got Independence was the highest finisher on the team side with 9th, Summit with 13th. Now, let's talk about Class A. Champions from Fairview, they get 2 champions. Ken Curtis, 182. Jacob Clevenger at 220. And I thought this was really cool. He was runner-up last year, but Tate and his family, he had the unique opportunity to wrestle a pretty good guy on his free time.
Yes, that would be his older brother who has 2 state titles of his own, Jackson. But if you'll remember going back to Media Day in football this year at Mafiosas, the great event, or Mafiosos, whichever one you want to call it, the great event that you put on and the OTL crowd. I don't know if you remember, he was asked by us, it was off the record, off the camera, but I said, who's the toughest? He didn't even hesitate. He said, me. So.
You think Big Brother would agree with that?
I'd love to have I think Coach Jones could put together a fundraiser and have a dang wrestle off between those two. You think you couldn't sell some tickets to that?
But listen, we both have boys. I feel like maybe yours probably get along pretty well.
There's an age difference.
Mine get along okay too, but naturally with brothers, they're going to scrap a little bit. How would you like to try to break that up?
You don't.
You're like...
you just let the furniture get broken. Lock the door.
I bet Mama could break it up, though.
Well, Coach Patton can tell you that. Back in the day, if you got in a fight, of course you can't do this now. If you got in a fight, you better really, at school, you better really want to fight.
This Blue Eyes?
Oh, when they were done, Coach Flack, Coach Gentry, Dalton, a couple of Franklin Hall of Famers, Blue Eyes, John Patton, they'd say, okay, boys, Darrin, Tate, you want to fight? We're going to take you. And they'd take you downstairs and they'd put you both in boxing gloves. And they'd make you fight until you literally couldn't hold your arms up and wanted to. And they called it getting a fight out of you. So,
hey, Mr. Producer, we need across the screen, kids, don't try this at home.
And there's a story of Coach Patton and Coach Flatt fought.
Oh.
And Coach Patton beat him up so bad that he was in the corner crying for help. Blue Eyes put it on him.
Hey, you got a calm demeanor, but don't let that fool you.
Don't let that, hey man, lifts weights and
rides bikes.
Ride bikes. You don't mess with guys like that.
Hey, let's talk about our other A finalist. Will Parcell, 162, Grant Hawkinson, 132. Both finished runner-up, and I thought this was an unbelievable stat. Now, Paige had 3 more medalists, too. Parcell was 62-0 for the season going to that final. And what was interesting about it, you see how disappointed he was, and Hawkinson, how disappointed they were. It's one of those shoot for the stars, fall into the clouds. Stevenson the same way when she lost, even though she knew Brooklyn Long was a great competitor and she'd already lost to her 3 times. But it goes to show you how competitive they are and how close they were to winning.
Hey, well, especially Parcell. If they wrestle that match 10 times, he wins at least 5 of them.
Yeah.
That's just how that match is. I mean, that's just how that sport is, man. But you've been doing this. You've been watching it more closely than you used to in your former life. 40-plus wins. You see a 50 every once in a while. 62 wins. I don't know that I've seen that.
Well, and you can, because I've seen this happen. It's so easy to slip up.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
But not him.
Kind of what happened.
Yeah, in the final, right?
Yeah. And I thought, man, it was pretty cool too. His you learn a lot about people. You've heard it. You learn more about people after a defeat than a victory. And I don't know. He's 17, maybe 18, though. And I think it was Pulliam's article, but the openness that he was willing to talk with after that match, I thought that, man, that's a mature dude. I don't know what he wants to do in life, but I'd hire that cat.
No question. And Charles has a way of.
He's got a good way with him.
He's pulling that out of him, right? Because he's invested himself.
Yes.
Team scores, you'll be happy about this. We'll talk about this in a minute. Paige ends up 5th, Fairview 8th. I'm not off the Fairview train. I mean, we're still happy about 8th.
Still beating the drum.
Yeah. But congratulations to Coach Gray and Paige. Great job. AA. On the boys' side, Summit gets their first state champion. We talked about Jayla Grimes, but at 120, Jarvis Little wins the championship. They also have another finalist in Finley Jamison at 145, and then Independence had a finalist, Russell Ford, 113, Wyatt Gibbs at 170. How about this stat, Tate? Last year, 13 AA medalists, this year 13, last year 10. We keep saying this about wrestling, and I feel like wrestling maybe as much as any sport. We are really on the climb in wrestling.
Yes.
And I think the girls thing's a big part of it.
Well, it is, but it's. I'm telling you, it's those club sports, man. I mean, there are some guys that can do it, right? There are some freak athletes that can get out there, or really good athletes that can get out there and still be successful. But you can't be to beat the Bradleys, to beat the Clevelands, to beat the Wilson Centrals. You can't have young people coming in their first introduction to wrestling being 9th grade, 8th grade. Just can't do it. And so that's what all these guys have done. They've done a great job with their clubs, and they're learning earlier. It doesn't mean we're not multi-sport guys. Finley Jamison, right?
Right.
How can you not like that cat, right? So that's what it is. And we've got, and that's the other thing too, and I think y'all have done a great job with that. We have wrestling coaches. Used to be there was,
right.
Put old Coach Webb over there to coach the,
Yeah.
And you knew they were going to be tough and in shape, but we got guys that know wrestling, coaching wrestling.
No question about that. I mean, you look at anytime you see successful teams and really the opposite teams that struggle, you can look at the tenure of the coach. If you got a coach that's been there a while, the system's there, the program's there, usually there's success. The opposite being if you're switching coaches all the time,
right.
It's tough. It's tough for everybody involved. And I know you're believing this because you did it yourself. I just can't imagine if I'm a football coach that I don't want my dudes wrestling.
Oh.
I mean, lifting, that's great, right? Lifting weights, you're a big believer in that, I'm a big believer. But some of the flexibility and positions these guys get in and the strength that they're developing just trying to get out of some of these holds.
That's right.
Sometimes I can't even hardly watch. I was like, man, I didn't know a neck went that way.
I know, man.
It's incredible.
Yeah, 100%. It's like what we talk about. I don't know how you could be a football coach and not want kids that don't play basketball wrestling. And I don't know how you could, and I'm getting ready to go on the soapbox. Not today.
Get on it.
But I don't know how you could be a basketball coach
and
not want your kids lifting weights.
I agree.
And it messes up your shooting. Talking to the guy who had a 3-point balloon made, and that's you. And y'all, what would you say? The only bad shot is a passed up shot, whatever. Did y'all lift weights?
We did.
I mean, I can't even fathom it. So, but especially offensive linemen, feet, hands, right? You don't block with your flipper anymore, right? You got to use your hands. It makes guys have better feet, better hands, and then, everybody can make their claim to the toughest sport, right? It's not easy to run up and down a court for 4 quarters, but the thing about wrestling, it's you and that guy across from you. There's nowhere to hide.
It is.
You can't blame it on Darrin, and Darrin can't blame it on Tate, and it just makes you tougher.
They have something called blood timeouts.
Yes.
I mean, that's really all you need to know, isn't it? You get 5 minutes a match to be bleeding.
You want to talk about overcoming your fears, right? Like, think about going out there against coffee, all right, a couple years ago. How about that? How fun is that? You have a 0.0001% chance of winning, but you still got to go out there and compete.
Yeah. No, it's great. It really is. Team scores, Centennial finished 27th. Everyone else inside the top 20, the highest finishing teams, Nolo 13. Congratulations to Franklin. Yes. Finished 12th, and then Summit finished 6th. 2 finalists, 5 medalists, and listen, I know I'm on the Fairview bandwagon. We all know that. But it is just a matter of time. Summit will win a state wrestling championship as a team.
Oh, no doubt about it.
It's a matter of time.
And I'll tell you what I thought was pretty cool. I don't normally bring this up, but I had Coach Miller on my radio show this past Saturday morning. I would encourage you to listen to it. He no doubt he's passionate about wrestling. He's passionate about his kids, but then towards the end, he talked about other kids, not just Summit Wrestling. And I think maybe more than any other sport, the wrestling coaches, you can get Damon Smith on here right now. He can talk to you about the Summit kids, the Franklin kids.
No question.
They pay attention to those other kids, are invested in those other kids. He was talking about, Brentwood and Summit got together the week going up and rolled around on the mat and wrestled together. Why would you do that? Hey, man, we're just trying to, you know what I'm saying? So you're right. They've got.
It's unique.
They're going to cross that barrier. And, you know, you talked about outside of Centennial, who was at 27th. The rest of them were in the top 20. You think about that. Wrestling's really strong in Rutherford County. It's really strong in East Tennessee. It's strong in Sumner County. So there's a lot of schools, and to get every single one of them in the top 20, that's pretty strong.
6 of our 20, or 6 of our teams in the top 20.
Right. And
it's impressive.
2 of our 9 were in the other division. That's why they.
That's right, and they were in the top 10.
Right.
And one of our girls' teams in the top 10. So it's impressive. So congratulations to all our wrestlers. Congratulations to our wrestling coaches. We're certainly very proud of you.
Very proud.
Let's move on to basketball. Let's start with 6-4A girls quarterfinals. Summit, in what ended up being a great game, they avenged an earlier loss in the season with a 67-57 win over Franklin. Of course, the entire tournament, like the districts, being played at Summit. Quinn Johnston. Now, I'm not misspeaking here.
Yes.
7 of 7 from the three-point line, 23 points, and 5 players in double figures. You know, I talk about it a lot, and they were 11 for 14 from the foul line late. Listen, I say it over and over and over. If you can shoot it, you've got a chance.
Yeah.
And when they've shot the ball well, Summit's as good as anyone.
Yes. But the thing that jumps out to me is you've got a young lady go 7 for 7 from the three-point line. You got 5 players in double figures. You went 11-14 late in the foul line, and they still only lost by 10. Franklin must have played really well too.
Well, think of it, they did. Costello has 18. They have 4 players in double figures. You know, you've been in the gym a lot with your son Jackson. Jackson can shoot it. How many times he hit 7 in a row? I mean, it's not
in a game.
I mean, it's not just even practicing. It's not just automatic. He's got to lock in and now make it an elimination game. Somebody's guarding you. You're having to run up and down the floor.
What is the quote Wild always retweets? Or maybe it's you, but if bad shooters are always open or something like that. What's that called?
No. It's probably me. Sometimes you have to explain to people when they say, "Coach, I was open," and I'm like, "Yes, the opponent knew something you didn't."
That's classic.
Listen, people have to rebound and pass, but shooting's not.
If you're always open, there's a reason.
I've never believed in equal opportunity shooting.
No,
and
it's not an equal opportunity sport.
I know everybody's mom and dad, they like them to shoot, but listen, you can be just as valuable and never shoot.
Dang right.
And sometimes you have to eloquently explain that to people.
That's great.
I'm open. Yes, I noticed.
And so did they.
All right, Hillsboro, 58-39 over Independence. First time in the region tournament since 2013. Ryan Brown leads Independence with 15 points. And listen, I know they got beat, but they had to be proud. Good year for Coach Hill. Mary Beth White stepped in last year admirably. She wasn't signed up to do that, but she stepped in and did it. They get Coach Hill, who's been known to kind of rebuild programs. This will be the worst year they have for a while.
Yes.
He did a nice job.
Not what anyone wants to hear, but that program took 5 steps forward this year.
And speaking
Maybe more.
And speaking of which, Ravenwood gets a big win over Centennial. Same thing for Coach Hamilton. Again, they didn't want to end with a 27-point loss to the best team in the area, but they did. But they can go back and say, okay, we're building on this thing. Sheraton Foster ends her career with 15 points. And then on the other side, you've got Grimes, Prestigard, Flynn, Garay, all in double figures.
Yeah.
Something I'm noticing about our teams, maybe more than any year that I've been doing this. Obviously, I was locked in on my own team when I was coaching. We're seeing a lot more teams with 3 and 4 people in double figures each game, which is big. It's big.
Well, it's a recipe for wins.
Yes.
Then you surround that around. We've always had, 1 or 2 that are going to score in the 20s. You put that, so like with Ravenwood, you take those other 3, which Prestigard's been and Flynn have both been in the 20s, but you got to think Grimes is going to be somewhere around 20. You take 3 or 4 others with 10 points and put that around them, not going to lose very many. Not
many at all. Brentwood, 50-32, our final quarterfinal game over Columbia Central. Sydney Ryan, 19, senior. Ella Ryan, 12, Caitlin Lorenzi, 10. On the boys' side, now, Tate, I figured this up. The 4 boys' quarterfinals, they were separated by 14 points.
That's crazy.
2 points, 9 points, 1 point, 2 points. They were some great, great games.
Dog fights.
They really were. How about the Ravenwood Centennial game?
Ravenwood up 20-6 early. Centennial ties the game at 58. And then your man, you've been tooting his horn for a while. Lee Millette said, basically, from what I've heard from people who were at the game, you included, he hits a floater with 2.9 seconds. He was not going to let them win, is what I've heard.
With the left hand.
Was it D. Wade-esque?
Nobody
shot the floater better than D. Wade. Is that fair?
That's pretty fair.
Yeah. Was it D. Wade-esque?
Yes, and he switched hands. The dude's left-handed.
Yeah.
I've not seen him take a shot right-handed all year, and I've been to a lot of Ravenwood games, and it was like a dude saying, get on my back. And you can't tell me. Now, again, I know you and I say this every week, but we're going to keep saying it as long as we have this show. Do you think it hurt Lee going out and going deep in the football playoffs? No.
No. I think it made him better.
He can't be here. He can't work on his basketball game. Well, I watched the other night. I think he helped. He plays great defense, too.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He really does.
Yeah.
So I was excited for Coach Whitlock. Hated it for Coach Moore. Coach Moore's got a young team. His 2 best players are sophomores. They'll be fine.
If you, and I know because y'all all know each other so well, I'm telling you, Centennial and Brentwood, don't sleep on those two because they're getting ready to go on a run here.
They are. Of all the teams, they're playing probably the youngest people total if you just added it up. Devin Reed for Centennial, 15 points his last game, his senior year. Dominic Reed and Tanner Lee both with 14, the 2 dynamic sophomores. Jake Mulder, Ravenwood, 9 for 10 from the free throw line, 18 points. Lamanu, 14, DJ Star, 10. Here's one that started off. Summit starts quick. Franklin gets out big. Summit comes back and gets the score down to 5 points late after entering the fourth quarter down 15. Franklin just too much. Big thing, Tate, was the free throw line. You do what Franklin did at the free throw line, you're going to win.
That's unbelievable. 18 for 20, 18 for 19 in the second half.
And it wasn't the same guys, different guys.
That's strong.
It is.
That's experience. That's mature. That's tough. What I want to know is what was going on in the first half.
0 for 1.
We didn't have the whistles. Did the whistles not get there to the second?
Well, let me just say that Summit had to go to the aggressive defense a little more in the second half, and put them on the line.
Still.
And listen, they don't make them, and a lot of times teams don't.
Yeah.
They stepped up, man.
Talk about balanced scoring well, really both of them, but the Admirals were Davis Long, 24. What grade's he in?
Sophomore.
Does he play any other sports?
Yeah.
Does he still play soccer?
I don't know if he still does, but I know at one time he played 3.
He played them all. Tom Fortner, 14. Noah McGee, 13. Sam Medali, 10. Pretty strong. Summit, Isaac Powers.
Freshman.
Andrew Smith, Bradley Stewart, and C.J. Jones, double figures. Bradley, sophomore. We got some good young people in this.
We really do. And Summit's another team. If you look at, they have 3 players coming back next year that anyone would want.
Yep.
Stewart, sophomore. Powers, freshman. LaFeste, sophomore. They've got 3 pieces that are solid pieces. Look out for Summit next year, too.
There's been times, you know this, where at the beginning of the season, you all would look at the win, split, win. I don't see any automatic wins next year.
Except maybe Columbia.
Yes.
They're coming back.
They lose everybody.
And Overton. Those are.
I meant in Wilco.
Well, I knew you meant it. I just wanted to get a little knock in on our competitors a little bit. Listen, I know everybody's out there wanting our special segment. You just never know when it's coming around.
It can't be forced. It can't be forced.
Hey, Independence. What the job Coach Wilkins has done. 47-46 win over Hillsboro. May have been the best game of the night, honestly. They took their first lead late in the fourth quarter, and here's what I liked about it. Montgomery, he's had some games. Look, he had 13 points. He scored 8 in the fourth quarter when it really mattered. But he struggled a little bit offensively because Hillsborough was paying attention to him.
That's how Hillsborough, yeah.
But they've got other guys that stepped up. Matthew Witt, 2 big dunks from the junior, one that really got the crowd going and the team going, 14 points. And then guys that you're probably not going to see in the box score. Josh Owens comes in, doesn't really score. I think he hit a 3. He took a big charge. He was pumped up, getting fired up, getting his team ready. Braden Buck, I've been to about 6 Indy games. I hadn't seen Braden in the game except maybe the last 2 minutes of a blowout. Coach Wilkins puts him in because he can shoot it. He hits 2 threes, and here's what I loved. I loved this because I think this is a good thing. Tyus Anderson, the senior, and Coach Wilkins told me this. He said Tyus looked at him and said, put Braden in.
Wow. Teammate, man.
Sophomore, senior having the ability to say that to the coach. Not in a way that he's telling Coach Wilkins what to do, but good on Tyus and good on Coach Wilkins because they have that relationship in 1 year.
That's good teammate. That's good chemistry.
Special, man.
Well, and I like this win a lot like the Ravenwood Centennial one. It's different, but I like this win because, you know, we've talked a lot about it, or I have. I respect Coach Thweet at Hillsborough so much. And you know, everybody will tell you, when you're playing them, it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be a fight. They're going to defend and make it ugly. And, you know, the way Independence plays, and they're, you know, first-year coach, you know, you don't think that's a game that is a good matchup for Independence. That's a win they had to grit out and tough out. And so I think that was a very impressive win for them, and I think that will help them going forward.
And then Tate in that final game, one that really surprised people when you look at the final score, but Brentwood had it in hand.
Yeah.
They had it in hand.
They had it, man. They're still pretty young. Not an excuse. We're not in the excuse-making business, but, yeah. I think if they're a year older, they don't let that thing slip away. It's probably not even at that.
Oh, or if Mr. Brock happens to get to play. But again, no excuses.
And I think somebody did see that coming. I think Mr. Producer will rewind the tape. Pretty sure I predicted Brentwood to upset Columbia.
We were going to give you bonus points.
Yes.
I say that now.
And don't think I wasn't. My man Justin Lamb was there updating me. I'm thinking, yes, yes. Come on, baby, hold on. Daniel Cochran was 17 points, super sophomore. Davis White, 14 points, multi-sport guy. They were up 40-33 late. I asked you last week, and you said that it's Q Martin, right?
Tough.
He's a special dude, man. They got beat by a good team.
They did.
Gosh, they had him.
They did, up 40-33 late, 5 of 12 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. Just couldn't quite hang on. Let's talk a little Page. The Page girls, listen, because they end up finishing third, they've got to go to a really good White County. Most people thought that was a toss-up. 72-51 Page. Uh-oh.
Do you know where White County is? You got to pass 2 lakes, Dale Hollow and Center Hill. And Coach Brock said, hey, girls, hop on the 40-foot Donzie. Mr. Miss Basketball, whatever, up there in Sparta Country or whatever we talk about it, you know, the Plateau, Boat Race City. Coach Brock said, get on the back of the boat, put your hair back in a ponytail, because we're putting the twin 225s pedal to the metal, baby. Kid Rock playing over the stereo. It was Boat Race City.
Lily Wilkin.
I love it.
Hey, Lily Wilkin, 27, 7 boards, 2 steals. Cochran, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. Brady Bushman, 17 points, 8 steals. Let's face it, if they're going to make a state tournament run like we think they can, it's got to be those 3. It has to be.
Let me ask you this. You've seen them play and you've coached a lot of games, a lot of wins. Is it possible, because these are all good kids, that we were sharing the ball a little too much? You know, sometimes, you know, you're like, you know what I'm saying? It takes you want to be a good teammate, right? Is it possible that Lily and Mackenzie and Brayley said, hey, kind of like you said with Lee, jump on the back, we're gonna get ours tonight?
I will answer that by saying maybe, but I think for sure that Coach Brock and everyone involved with Page basketball knows it's the 3-headed monster right now.
The triplets, the trio.
It is. Hey, on the boys' side, kind of an unfortunate thing. You felt so bad for Paige. It's one of the freakiest things I've seen. Coach Street putting the goals down in the gym, and the unit basically broke. I mean, I'm talking a fluke. I've seen some bad units in some old gyms, and I've never seen that happen.
Not good.
It just was a freak accident.
He's okay, though, right?
Not even an accident. It wasn't anything he did. So they had to go to Brentwood. Credit to Joe Blair for setting it up. He had their team name on their scores table, which was totally class act. Typical Joe Blair.
Yep.
And they, thank goodness, came out the win, 58-48 over Livingston Academy. They play White County in the semis, and if they can, keep advancing, I'd love to see them have a sub-state game maybe at home. Goals are ready. Practice is fine. We got that taken care of. Shout out to Adam Christopher and Mark Samuels, probably the first time they've ever been mentioned on this show, from our operations department for getting it fixed pretty quick. So we appreciate them. And I'm sure they're not watching.
But somebody might tell them.
They might.
Big win. Big win. Coach Street said, hey, Hog-Eye. Do you know how they spell it, Hog-Eye?
I really don't, and that's one of the most frustrating chants I ever hear. I don't know why. It's just
for those that have never been there, that's what Livingston Academy, they call themselves. Hog-Eye. They think they invented basketball up there. Thanks for playing. Stop by Corky's on the way out and get you a barbecue sampler for the ride home.
Hey, and by the way, the Dodgers called and said, you owe us money for using that logo.
Exactly. 100%. We're a little salty today.
Ryan Lang, 18 points. Ethan Overstreet, 12. Pierce Brule, 11. Let's finish up talking a little Fairview.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the girls ran into a buzzsaw. Loretta, spelled Loretto, pronounced Loretta, 76-31. But they're a great team. Again, I thought it was important that Fairview advanced, and they did. 17 points, 8 rebounds for the senior, Riley Dillingham. Great career, but they can use that postseason experience to move on to next year. On the boys' side, no surprise, Coach McCoy and the team, 78-54 over Lewis County. They take on Harpeth now. It's a rivalry. They're close to one another. They split during the season. Hey, and shout out to the team now in terms of production. Jackson Arnold, 26. Pendergrass, 13 and 5 steals. Mays McCoy, 11 points, 4 assists. John Sawyer, 8 rebounds. Fairview maybe as much as any team in WCS. You see different people contributing in different ways every week.
I think their whole team made the all-district team, too, all reason. I mean,
they should have announced who didn't make it.
That's right. Did you play? Yeah, you're on it. Hey, we've said that. I think this team could end up in Murfreesboro.
I think last week I might have said 5 out of 6, but I believe that's 4 out of 5 when they win in the district. But I'm telling you, they got bigger goals than that.
Yes, Murfreesboro. That's where they want to go.
Bigger goal, and I think they've got a shot. Well, now listen.
What happened?
We're short on time, so I want to get through this really quick.
Okay.
So our picks, there's some still kind of happening.
In play.
You're now 2 ahead.
So what does that make us?
24-7.
Oh, okay.
22-9.
Gotcha. Okay.
24-7, 22-9. We both picked Summit to have the most medalists in wrestling, so that happened, right? But you picked Page to finish higher on the boys' side in wrestling.
Gotcha, Coach Gregg.
I picked Fairview. So you
no shame in that pick.
No shame. Them finishing 8th, it just wasn't 5th.
Right.
But here's what's still to be determined at the time of the taping of the show. We both said Fairview boys would be the most likely to win the region when we said Page, girls and boys, and Fairview. They've all got a shot, but we both picked Fairview, so that's going to be a wash one way or the other.
One way or the other. But I think it's a wash on the plus side for both of us.
Here's where it gets interesting.
Yes.
You have Ravenwood girls winning the region. I have Summit, who's playing at home. So we'll see how that works out. And then on the boys' side, you have Franklin boys in the final with a win over Indy. You've got the Admirals to win. I have Indy over Ravenwood. So there's a lot can happen right there. I'll be happy anyway it finishes because I'm a WCS guy. You know, secretly maybe I'm wishing my picks will do well, but look, I can't root for
this thing
individual
could
teams.
Go from being
it could be
tied up and it could be over.
Listen, we're going to start picking like harness racing. I got to do something. If you get a big lead, we're going to be picking stuff.
I just can't wait till esports gets fired up. We'll be picking that.
Dr. Qualls can come in and talk about it. Hey, listen, we've got some guys, Mr. Producer in the back there, Lance in the back. They'll tell you about esports. They're fired up about esports.
Hey, there's college scholarships for it now. Arenas being built.
It's a deal. Adidas is going to be involved.
Of course.
I mean, it's sports, right?
Yes.
Got to get involved.
Got to get involved. Got to represent.
Tate, as always, appreciate you being here. Look forward to talking about some basketball teams trending and heading towards the state tournament next week.
We'll have a lot to talk about. Congratulations to all of our 69 participants in the wrestling tournament. Very proud of you.
Unreal. Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.